Welcome back, everyone. We have yet another PGL Season 18 interview. Today, we have one of the longest running coaches in the PGL. She has had several fantastic seasons, but somehow has eluded playoffs. It has to be dumb luck because I have definitely lost to her multiple times in the regular season. Welcome, SootDumpling. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. Been a busy week, but I'm happy to be able to fit this in.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so happy to have you. I know we were trying to schedule, but I'm glad we were able to work some time in. Literally didn't even schedule it. I just hit you up on Discord and you were like, what about now? And so, it worked out.
Oh yeah,
Nice. So you know the
but
rules. Oh, yeah,
very
go
excited
ahead.
to do this.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh no,
Sorry.
yeah, just very excited to do this.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Excited to have you here. You know the rules at this point. PGL Season 18 is low tier nat decks. Cup moves are allowed other than Hidden Power and Pursuit. Budget was tight and the Terra Captains are cheap. So, how did you find it? I see that you may have had some inspiration with your first round pick you can go into if you'd like, along with, your first two picks in general. Very powerful. You've got the speedy setup. You've got the heavy hitter in Emboar. The speedy setup is in Zygarde 10%, which is super cool to see coming back. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on those first couple picks and kind of how you thought the draft was in general.
Yeah. I've always had the philosophy: it is never too early to pick a Pokemon you want.
Mhm.
But that being said, my eye was always on Emboar. During the Little Cup season last year, a friend of mine passed away. Emboar was his favorite Pokemon. So when I saw low tier, I knew this is the best season that I could possibly pick Emboar up
Mhm.
just to kind of honor him and what's going on. So that was always going to be a first pick for me in a situation like this. But I probably, if we'd gone Ubers, I probably still would have picked Emboar first.
Right.
Uh, but then I got to see. So then after that, I was just looking at the board. Okay, what's left? Zydoge has been something I've been wanting to really play with for a long time. It's another physical attacker. It kind of hits a similar axis in some ways as Emboar, but Emboar being so like bulky it
Mhm.
and able to cover a lot of Zygarde's weaknesses on the other side, right? You can't come in spamming ice moves
Mhm.
with an Emboar just sitting in the back. So
Yeah.
I felt like these two are gonna cover so much on the physical side that it was really gonna to tighten up that whole physical defense or whole physical offense just immediately with those first two picks.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, they definitely do that because, yeah, they cover each other's weaknesses pretty well. I would say, like, on paper, maybe you look at them and you're like, dang, a water type's really going to give them a lot of trouble. But Emboar gets the reckless wild charge, so water type's not a real switch in. And then obviously you have that Rotom Mow sitting not too far back on your picks. I think that was a smart decision to lock that in as early as possible. And, what water type wants to deal with a Rotom Mow? So really loving the synergy within your first few picks. And I think that's super sweet of you to pick up Emboar in honor of someone else. So that is massive. But honestly, like you said, Emboar is not a throw pick in low tier. I had it several seasons ago in PGL. And yeah, that thing, if it doesn't two hit KO something, you're probably just calcing wrong. So super excited to see you run with that one. It's a super cool Pokemon for sure.
Yeah, very excited to use it. And I don't think I've actually used it in Draft League before either, so I always like getting to kind of feel out something new as well.
Yeah, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Looking at your team, maybe going a little out of order in questions here. So, when low tier comes around, you notice that Eviolite Pokemon begin to shine. So they're usually a little too weak. Well, sometimes there's a few standouts to kind of make it in like a standard, or obviously things like Ubers. They don't really work that well. But low tier really gives them opportunities to stand out, and you have fully leaned into the Eviolite users between your third pick Kadabra as a Terra Captain, as well as Carkol and Lickitung as your lower point Terra Caps, and then you have the Clefairy to round it out. So can you give me a little bit of insight into really like locking in a lot of these Eviolite Pokemon and making your team all about the not fully evolved tier?
Well, for me, it was pretty. A couple of these are very straightforward. Kadabra was one of the best, in my opinion, special Terras available. It doesn't get Terra Blast, which is a little bit of an issue on its part, but it may not need it. It's got over 100 base speed, over 100 base special attack.
Mhm.
It's going to hit hard enough that you don't really care about that defensive synergy. It works out well, especially close to the Zygarde speed tier, that
Mhm.
now you have to worry about those two different speeds and all of that. And then when
Right.
you looked all the way at the bottom of the list, there were two single point Pokemon that stood out to me. It was Murkrow and Lickitung.
Mhm.
And I've used Murkrow successfully in the past, but I had other picks lined up that I thought Murkrow was going to be a pass for me.
Mhm.
Lickitung has great utility, especially for a single point Mon.
Yes.
High enough stats that with or without Eviolite, it might be able to do some things.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Um, and then as well, Clefairy, Clefairy and Carkol, you can look at them. They're going to be significantly more reliant on the Eviolite
Mhm.
than a lot of Pokemon, but I felt Clefairy was just a good bargain. It's a Magic Guard Mon, it's a Stealth Rocker, it's a Fairy, which isn't as important
Mhm.
in the lower tiers, but it's going to really help shore up a lot of the fighting weaknesses, especially with how powerful fighting types are
Yes.
in low tier. Um, and you could see a lot of my Pokemon that would be more of a defensive answer outside of Clefairy. I have a poison type, but it's dark. I have a flying type, but it's ice,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be leaning a lot on Swampert for the defensive side as well.
Right.
So it's going to be able to shore up some little bits there. Now Carkol is a two-pronged pick for me.
Mhm.
One, it's one of my favorite little doofuses I've ever seen. You cannot look that thing in the face and tell me there's a single thought going through its mind, and I love it.
Absolutely. Yep.
But on the other hand, it's a stealth rocking rapid spinner, which is a really, really good value. And
Mhm.
with the Terra, you can't from the prep screen assume what type it's going to be when it comes in. Now you get there, we do have Terra preview,
Mhm.
so there's going to be the ability to switch it up if you think I'm going to Terra it. So it's not free either way. It's not a free attack, but it's also
Mhm.
not a free defense. So I think it's going to make a lot of the games very interesting while still giving me flame body, flash fire, steam engine may come up. We'll have to see, but I
Yep.
really, it's really got a couple of defensive utilities, uh, and it may even again be a Pokemon that's able to get away with no Eviolite.
Mhm.
That's a toss up. I'm willing to say. Who knows on that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's 80, 90 defenses, like health and defense is no joke, like even in normal. So I think it could definitely run with boots or any other item like a resist berry, anything like that you'd need. Obviously, as you mentioned, water Terra on it, I think specifically stands out as a very strong Terra because you can get that steam engine, but you also have grass Terra to take advantage of the flash fire. So fantastic. I love Carkol. So and like you said, it looks absolutely hilarious. It's such a good Pokemon. So big fan there. I think the Clefairy pick makes a ton of sense to give you those resistances because, like you said, you've got a lot of dual types that kind of move away from resisting kind of why you draft a certain Pokemon, which it can be hard in low tiers like this to pick up a like poison type that's just a poison type that's actually going to do anything. So I think Drapion is a really solid pick for you because not only is it that grounded poison that's very important to these types of leagues, but it also gives you a really reliable knockoff switch in because I think when people see 2+ Eviolite Pokemon on a team, they're going to bring knockoff. And then your team also has the Kadabra, at least pre Terra. It doesn't really appreciate a knockoff as well. Things like Zygarde doesn't like its choice band or leftovers of its setup getting knocked off. So was that kind of was that the thought process on that last pick, Drapion? I really like that it's like all these babies in the middle and then just this fully evolved monster at the end. So yeah, let me know a little bit your thoughts on that.
Drapion is a twofold thing. One, it was me looking at the tiers, what's left, because I spent big in the beginning,
Mhm.
and I purposefully spent a lot of my lower point picks in the middle,
Mhm.
and I actually had a trifecta of comfort picks which were uh, Drapion, Swampert, and Delibird. Those are three kind of comfort picks for me.
Mhm.
I know that last one sounds bizarre, and we're gonna get to that. I know we
Okay.
are.
Yeah, for
That's I
sure.
know that's coming later.
Mhm.
What Drapion really offers though is speed, offense. It's got battle armor. It's got the knockoff. It's got the toxic spikes. It is a Pokemon that I have in my 5 years ago. I was in a league for brand new players, and I did win that one with Drapion. on
Nice.
the team, and it ended up being a big time player for me. And so I've brought it back every once in a while. So I know, plus I know it kind of covers a few things. It'll help cover Swampert. It
Hmm.
can help cover Rotom, and again, just like you said, it can help with the knockoff. It throws out its own knockoffs.
Hmm.
It's something I have to play carefully with, but I think that it really brings a lot to the defensive table that a
Yes.
lot of my team does lack.
Absolutely. I think it kind of gives you this two-pronged like type of team where you can run insanely offensive with the Emboar, Zygarde, Kadabra, Drapion. It's really hard to switch into those and deal with them offensively. Or you run a more defensive Drapion. Its defense stat is kind of crazy. You've got the T-Spikes if you want to set them up. I know there's at least one or two teams rolling around here that don't have a grounded poison, so you can take advantage of that. And then you have a solid Eviolite defensive core, no item clause. You could bring multiple, or as you said, most of your NFEs can even run non-Eviolite and still be bulky. So I think great pieces on this team for sure. I really like the direction it's going. You've got a lot of Pokemon that can either be offensive or defensive as well, with the Rotom and the Swampert that we're looking at. So I'm a big fan. I think it's super versatile. And then all the Mons I've mentioned, you've already alluded to it. So it's interesting. Delibird is a Pokemon that I feel like gets memed on a lot. And I think most of the time people pick it as like a copium last minute rapid spinner that happens to be quad weak to rocks. But you have the Carkol as what I would consider a relatively more consistent rapid spinner. So give me a little bit of your thoughts on the Delibird pick here, because I'm trying to kind of see where it fits in this whole design.
I have played in a league before, and I picked Delibird as my last pick.
Hmm.
Delibird came to every single game that season.
Wow.
It turns out that, especially in a lower tier setting, while its stats aren't amazing, it's got literally two of the same ability.
Mhm.
It's got enough flexibility that I can slot it into a lot of different places.
Hmm.
Hustle is a bit of a problem, yes, but it can come up with just enough chip here and there to deal with situations. It's got rapid spin, it's got spikes, it's got other utility moves
Mhm.
that if it is, I'm going to put this out there. If you ignore Delibird in prep and I bring the Delibird, it's getting at least one kill.
Mhm.
Delibird ended, I was unable to play the last game of the season for that league.
Mhm.
It ended 11th in kills overall.
Wow. That's really impressive,
This is the same
honestly.
team that my team also had Lando T on it. Delibird had more kills than Lando T.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Honestly, like we've talked a little kind of the meta of this in some other interviews, and bird spam is always very strong. And something I think is like some of these teams that took a bird super early, someone like Anolar who took the Staraptor round 2, people are going to bring their bird resist. Against you,
Yes.
the bird resist are typically the rock and steels that Emboar is going to absolutely love to see on the other side of the field, or potentially like an electric, but you have answers for electrics, things like Swampert. And they're not going to prep for Delibird. 4-point Delibird, hustle, choice scarf, choice band with those brave birds, and you've also got like other options on as well, of course. Like I think it could actually be an underrated threat, and I think it could get several KOs this season. I'm actually really excited to see how it does.
Like I said, it was part of the trifecta of Drapion, Swampert, and Delibird. When I saw I was going to probably be able to pick up those three, a lot of these are new Pokemon to me, but those three were very much Mons that I picked that I'm familiar with. I've probably used Swampert more in than any other Pokemon in any league. Delibird and Drapion are both multiple use Pokemon for me, so I'm very excited to have them as kind of a backbone that I could build the rest of the team off of while I'm still kind of getting a feel for a lot of these Mons.
Yep. Yeah, I totally feel that. I think having one or two at least comfort picks around definitely helps. I My whole team I've drafted this season, other than Lopunny and Slurpuff, I've never used before. So I'm excited, but also trying to build feels so strange because I don't have as many of those anchors as I normally do. So like, sometimes you pick your comfort picks, you set it and you forget it. You know exactly what you want to bring against your opponent. And then the new guys, you're like, well, what do you actually do? So I like the idea of having that backbone there. I think that's a super smart call on your part.
Yeah, it's this the team felt very exciting for me to draft, especially because in a league like a season like this when the points were so tight,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really even want to plan until probably fifth round.
Yep.
Um, I was kind of sketching things out. Obviously, I was taking Emboar first, and I wasn't gonna let Kadabra linger very long. But otherwise, I didn't really have that much of a thought process going in.
Mm-hmm.
I was eyeing Lickitung, I was eyeing Delibird, but as I was able to kind of start lining these things up, that's I think this isn't a team that's gonna pop out. I think at anyone when you look at it at first, but I think that I'm going to be able to do fun things with it, which is always my main goal, is to find something interesting to do, even if I historically am not making playoffs. It's I tend to only get 6-0'd once. So
I like that. Well, I mean, clearly you do have accolades you're hiding from me if you have won a league in the past. So you mentioned no accolades, but that's definitely big. And a lot of times, especially recent seasons, you have had really strong regular season runs that get the unfortunate things happen, or your matchups, sometimes can go south toward the latter half of the season. So, it's something that happens, and I have full faith that you make it playoffs, if not this season, then, a season soon. But I have no reason to doubt that I feel like you're going to make playoffs this season. So I'm looking forward to seeing your run. But to get to playoffs, you're going to have to get through 7 of these coaches, or at least some part of 7 of these coaches. So if you've looked at the opposing teams this season, do any of them really stand out to you as scary or exciting to play against? How are you feeling about the other teams on the board?
well, there's a couple. One of the first that stands out to me is partially just because I love a couple of the Mons, but Cram's team
Mm-hmm.
has a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the Iron Leaves Pincurchin combo, which is not the strongest terrain setter, right, and the strongest terrain abuser, but you always have to look out for that.
Mm-hmm.
The Mega Bayonet has all of these like weird utilities with the Rabombi webs and Tentacruel, and like
Mm-hmm.
that team screams at me as something to fear.
Yes.
Um, another one is probably Eltrees.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's got this really, really solid defensive core: Turtonator, Mudsdale, Sylveon, Rotom,
Mm-hmm.
even Swalot, right? That's a grounded poison, which not every, like you brought up earlier, not every team has.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's able to set up these big defensive situations, you can't Toxic Spike him, because as soon as Swalot comes, it's not doing that much on its own, but you've got this Yawn grounded poison.
Yep.
That's going to just deal with the situation immediately. So
Mm-hmm.
those two are two that stand out like big in my brain.
Absolutely. I can say I prep with some people, and one of those people is playing Eltrees week 1, and it has been an absolute headache. So I don't know that I play Eltrees in the regular season, but I don't envy anybody that does, because that team just seems brutal to go up against. Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't looked past week 1 on my schedule yet. I tend to just schedule a week at a time because I'm not a big transaction person. So
Gotcha.
I'm just like, I'm probably not changing my team anyway. I'm not gonna look forward. I'm just gonna deal with this week.
Hey, that's fair. That's a good way to do it too. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just knock out the week that's in front of you. I like that. I like that mentality. I skimmed ahead, and I have to play like all of my friends this season, like all the people I prep with. So the group chat's gonna be crumbling, I'm sure. But we'll we'll try to get through it. We'll see if friendships stay around by the end of the season. But that being said, there's a lot of heat on the board. We've mentioned several Pokemon at this point, but there's also heat that gets left behind. So there's a lot of high tiers. I think a couple people now have mentioned the 18-point tier got entirely ignored except by 3 people. And then there's several tiers that have multiple really strong Pokemon. And you seem like someone who really finds value in certain Pokemon and grab them early, things like Kadabra, that I feel like it's variable on the people who are drafting. So some people are going to find Kadabra to be a super big steal, one of the best Pokemon on the board. Other people are never going to even look twice at it. So what stands out to you as Pokemon that didn't get taken, that you're surprised didn't get taken, or could be more valuable to teams than maybe people are giving them credit for?
One Pokemon I will preach for a long time, especially to value. We have at 6 points on this board is Pinsir.
Wait, really?
Yes, Pinsir is a fighting resist,
Mm-hmm.
stealth rocker
Mm-hmm.
with a high attack stat and sword stance and a couple of other setup moves. I feel like while it's not going to be this massive standout, it's a really good role player that I think a few teams might have been able to look at
Mm-hmm.
as something that could really fill some niches, right?
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's at 6 points, so it's really easy to overlook that one.
Yeah,
Um,
no one else has said that, I will say, and Pinsir is a fantastic mon for that 6 points because everybody's talked about how bad the low tiers are. So that one, that's a huge. I didn't even know it was down there. So great catch there.
and then I think the other one is it's potentially it could have been a little overpriced, but I think fits in well is Dugong.
Hmm.
It's got obviously the water ice typing with thick fat. You would kind of think that that's like a wall rain situation.
Mm-hmm.
Dugong gets flip turn.
Oh yeah. Huh.
That is a big thing. So you've got if you've got a team with a big ice problem, Dugong is something else to really consider
Mm-hmm.
looking at. And I'm obviously its stats. It's a middling Gen 1 Pokemon, so its stats aren't gonna super stand out
Mm-hmm.
in any particular way. Because obviously, you know, it wasn't that great. But again, you've got especially thick fat and hydration.
Mm-hmm.
If you wanted to have like a little rain undercurrent,
Yeah.
is really gonna do a lot. Plus, oh yeah, it gets Aqua Jet too.
Yeah.
Why
Actually,
does it get Aqua Jet? I don't know. It gets Aqua Jet and Ice Shard.
and fake
So 2
out.
forms of priority.
Yeah. If you
So
want
with a
to.
bunch of priority and a huge ice resist, I think that.
Huh.
Oh, I just see it gets Perish Song too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something I just found out.
That's what
just
I
now.
was going to point out actually was a little bit of whirlpool perish song action. If you can't run offense, you can just lock in your opponent's bulky core and just KO them with the perish song. And like, especially as a Terra captain, you just become whatever they can't hit. And yeah, another great call out that no one else has mentioned, but I love the Dugong. I've seen a Dugong do work. I couldn't tell you where, but in one of the leagues I've been in before, their Dugong was like one of their MVPs, and it was so entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I love looking at finding little niche Pokemon that aren't gonna come to every game,
Mm-hmm.
but are really gonna like find you these little values that can plug the holes that your higher tiers are gonna maybe not miss on, but potentially lack on.
Yeah.
Those are some of just my favorite things to look for.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. Super nice insight into those low tiers. And I think that's also something not many people had that many low tiers to mention when I asked that question. So I do appreciate that that unique perspective on it. So super cool there. So with that, we have reached the end of the interview. But I do want to ask one final question, and that is simply, do you have anything else you'd like to say to the people, to the other coaches, and to the people watching this video before we sign off?
I feel like it. I very much epitomize the idea of like this is just about having fun, right? 5 years in, I've made playoffs twice
Mm-hmm.
in my time, and I haven't given that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have won quote unquote junior league championship 5 years ago and one playoff. That's it. But this is still so much fun
Mm-hmm.
that you know this is I'm gonna keep coming back to this, even if this is the deadest YouTube I've ever seen. All of the league channels gave up years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna keep playing this as long as we can. PGL is like such a fun place to be. I'm gonna keep coming back here, even if I disappear out of the lobby for. As soon as I see that ping comes up, I love being here. I love
Hmm.
this community. I love getting to interact with everybody. I love getting to play everybody, and hopefully, it's just as much fun for everybody else.
Oh, I can guarantee you it is. This is the best draft community I've ever interacted with. As you said, I swear, as soon as that ping comes up, the PGL Discord could have not had a single message go out in 6 months. As soon as that ping hits with the draft announcements, there, you know, that application form fills up in like 3 days. It's so cool and it's so funny to see. So super happy to have you back for another season. We're looking forward to watching your run through the season as long as along with everyone else's, and I wish you the best of luck going into your battles this season, and I'm really hoping to see you hit playoffs this season. I'm actually expecting it. I'm holding you to that.
As long as one of us is.
Okay, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. That's totally fair. And if we both get there, you know, hopefully it's not a quarterfinal playoff. I'm gonna try to avoid that because you're like my kryptonite with the regular season, so I'm hoping it doesn't also hold true for playoffs.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, that we will. All right, so thank you everyone for watching, and we will see you in the next one.